Well, regardless of what happens with their QB situation, the Cowboys are definitely in a great position. They're headed to the playoffs, and they've locked up home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. Now, according to Westgate Las Vegas Superbook, only New England has better odds to win the Super Bowl over Dallas, but according to ESPN's Football Power Index, the Falcons actually have a better chance to reach the Super Bowl than the Cowboys. So, with that in mind, are the Cowboys a lock to reach the Super Bowl?
I think we should probably explain why the numbers, and people at home don't tweet us and goes, your numbers are wrong.
What's up with
You're
FBI?
Here's the deal. The Cowboys would not have to face, at least if the way it was right now, the Seahawks until the NFC Championship game. The Falcons would have to do it in the divisional round or the second week. So I think that's why their numbers are less to make it and then more if they get to the NFC Championship game. With that being said, I don't believe the Cowboys are a lock to make the Super Bowl. And here's why. I love Dak. I love Zeke. I love a lot of these young guys. But there's a reason that a rookie quarterback doesn't go and win the Super Bowl ever. Because the playoffs are a different speed. They're a different animal. All of a sudden, the adrenaline becomes a little bit higher. I love Dak, and I think he can be the one guy or a guy that can overcome that. But it changes. There's way more attention put on the playoffs. We know that. That's why I wouldn't put the word lock. I would use the word favorite, but I wouldn't use the word lock when I've got a guy who's won a Super Bowl on my side of the fence, actually, too, Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson.
You know those stats that people like to say no rookie quarterbacks ever won the Super Bowl? There's a ton of these things. There was no NFL rushing champion had ever won the Super Bowl until Emmitt Smith did it. You can come up with many of these, and they always have an until at the end. These stats are designed to fail at some point. At some point, somebody steps up and goes, I guess that stat's over with. Dak Prescott has given you no, and you admitted to this, by the way, Dak Prescott has given you no reason to believe he's not the guy who's going to put that stat to rest, that no rookie quarterback has ever won the Super Bowl. What has Dak not done this year? He beat Ben Roethlisberger at Heinz Field. He beat Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field. He's come back from 14 against San Francisco. He's won in every conceivable way. Why start doubting him now? It just is a bad bet to pick up your doubts at this point in the season, at this point in the game. Roll with him. Now, listen. You're right about why the Falcons have a lower chance to make the championship game than the Cowboys, but I still don't understand why they have a higher chance to win that game. This is that stat from FPI basically says Falcons against Cowboys in Texas,
That's exactly
in
what it
Arlington,
says. Yes.
is that the Falcons are the favorites. You're telling me a defense that ranks 23rd in total, 25th in points per game, 16th in rushing, is favored over Ezekiel Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys? Matt Ryan can throw the ball all he wants. Good luck having the ball.
To me, at some
Cowboys
point,
will hog that ball, game possession, ball control. Ezekiel Elliott, Cowboys are the favorite.
I'm not always a numbers guy. I'm not always a look at the percentages type of guy. Sometimes there's a gut effort. And I feel like somewhere amidst all the numbers and the FPIs, they're looking at the fact that the Cowboys, unless I'm mistaken, have not been to the Super Bowl in 20 years. That may not factor in, but on some level, it factors in for me. I believe that certain franchises are the way they are for a certain reason. Let me be clear. I said they would be the favorite. I don't think they are a lock. And those are two completely different things because you have a rookie quarterback. You have to factor that in. And if you don't, you're being a little foolish in my estimation.
You know, you ever go to Vegas, Atlantic City, and these kind of places?
I've been once
He
or
is like
twice.
Mr. Vegas.
Whoa. You know
Back in your day.
You know when the roulette wheel spins, right?
Never played
Basically
roulette.
two choices.
Yes, but I'm aware.
Basically two choices,
Yes.
black or red.
Correct.
Two green spots to throw off your odds a little bit.
Yes.
Let's say it's red 10 times in a row.
Okay.
Are your odds going to be more that it's black on the next roll?
No, it's 50-50.
Same as it was before.
That's exactly
that
right.
20-year stat you just pointed to with the Cowboys having made the Super Bowl has no bearing on this year, has no relationship to the fact that the Cowboys are the favorite, in your words, the favorite this year. I don't want to hear about what happened in the last 20
You're
years.
a Cowboys fan. It admitted Cowboys homer. And are you telling me that if it's tied 2020, NFC Championship game, 5 minutes to go, that's somewhere deep down where you don't talk about very often, that you're not going to think about the last 2 decades and go, well, we'll figure out a way.
No.
We'll figure out a way to drop a snap. We'll figure out a way not to score. You're not going to think about that as a Cowboys fan?
I'm not going to think about that because I've got entirely new players on the field by the names of Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott,
who I love,
All-Pro,
who I love.
I don't even have to harken back to earlier this year, and this is where I think many people are making a mistake. They've thought that the weak link with the Cowboys has been the defense. It's not anymore. This defense is solid. David Irving is now a stud. Benson Mayowa is a stud. Tyrone Crawford and DeMarcus Lawrence are coming back from injury. Mo Claiborne's coming back. This defense shut down the Lions in the second half. This defense is a championship-level defense now. I don't want to hear about week 2, week 3, week 4, and I sure don't want to hear about a Cowboys team from 15 years ago. This team is the favorite by any measurement.
I had a feeling that this discussion might go this route, so I went online, and I looked up some job opportunities. And the Cowboys have a public relations job open. And I thought maybe this would be the best place for him because he's throwing out all these names and all these things as if he's given a tour of their new practice facility. That's not what we're doing. We're talking about on the field on a Sunday in the playoffs for the right to go to the Super Bowl. That's what we're talking about.
The tour I'm offering to you and these fine folks at home is a tour of enlightenment. I'm bringing you around. I'm showing you things you've seen that you hadn't been able to see in the shadows. I'm giving you names that fly under the radar on ESPN from time to time.
Wow.
I'm telling you why when it's 20-20 with 2 minutes left in the game, I'm not thinking about 1998 or 2005. I'm thinking about this year.
So there's not even an ounce of doubt?
Enjoy the light.
Not even an ounce of doubt, like a flash. Just a little flashback.
Maybe not doubt, but I'm the inventor of an award-winning game show that we play on SportsCenter called One Word. Graphics, probably seen it, animated. And I would say that my one word for Will Cain after listening to all of this would be paranoia. Because when you talk this much and you believe this much, there's a little paranoia. You wake up in the middle of the night and you start to flash back. Unfortunately for him and Cowboy fans everywhere, there's not a lot to flash back to in the last 2 decades.
Meaningless.
It's not meaningless. It's not meaningless. History matters.
You're not
paranoid.
It
matters now. And it matters to you.
I just told you, you're not paranoid if they're really after you. And you're not a homer if you're right.
I'm excited that you're going to enlighten us with other topics. I'm really intrigued.
You got to go another hour 45. I'm going to bring light.
Yeah, we do. An hour and 43 minutes to be exact. All right. Will we see Tony Romo before the regular season? And sounds like the answer to that question will be a no. According to the Dallas Morning News, the Cowboys' third-string quarterback, Mark Sanchez, is expected to be active for Sunday's game at Philadelphia, which implies that if their star rookie Dak Prescott doesn't play the entire game, which he's not expected to, Sanchez will get some playing time instead of Tony Romo. So should the Cowboys play Romo in Week 17? Will, why are you shaking your head?
Once or twice in my life, Prim. Once or twice in my life, Coach, I've been called a homer for the Dallas Cowboys. But you know that saying, you're not paranoid if they're really after you? You're not a homer if you're right. So here's the deal about the Cowboys. I have had very little to critique of them this year. Very little. Very little decisions that Jason Garrett has made, or for that matter, Jerry Jones have made, have been open to criticism. They've played this thing perfectly, straight down the fairway all year long. Until now. I cannot wrap my mind around this decision. Let's just run through the reasons that playing Mark Sanchez over Tony Romo is completely and utterly asinine. Number one, this is a Super Bowl team. This team not only has a legitimate shot at making the Super Bowl, but is the odds-on favorite to be there and possibly be winning the Super Bowl. Once you're there, it's down to 2 teams. This is a Super Bowl winning team with, by the way, the best backup quarterback in the league. And it breaks my heart just a little bit to call him a backup quarterback. But look, while other teams are starting Matt Moore or Tom Savage or Mike McGloin, the Cowboys...
Is it hard to say those names?
I have to look at my notes.
I have to look at my notes.
Who is this guy?
Okay.
The Cowboys have Tony Romo sitting there. Should something happen to Dak Prescott, the Cowboys have a guy who can step in and, dare I say, hardly miss a beat, barely step back. If he's ready to play. If he is warmed up, having not played in basically 2 years, having not played in a training camp essentially since 6 months ago when he was playing, taking reps, getting ready for the season. Game action, real game action in basically 2 years. Tony Romo has the ability to win the Super Bowl with this team if he can get in the game. If he can, knock some rust off. Now, I don't see any reason, if you have a Super Bowl winning team with a Super Bowl winning quarterback and a Super Bowl winning backup, you wouldn't get everybody ready to play. This, by the way, Mark Sanchez checks none of those boxes. Mark Sanchez is not a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I would say he's better than Tom Savage, Mike McGloin, and Matt Moore, but he's not a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Tony Romo is. Get him ready.
First of all, he's not. I would actually say I agree with you. Just not this week. Because here's the situation. I agree with the philosophy that Bill Belichick has, that I've got 44 guys, 45 guys, whatever it is, and I don't have enough to send all of my backups in and have backups for those backups. Tony Romo, if they were going to play him, should have played in Week 16. They should have played last week. I didn't think that they should have. And you saw what happened. Momentum's a crazy thing, especially for a youngster like Dak Prescott or Ezekiel Elliott. And look how much Dez Bryant is responding to what happened. 2 touchdowns, throws for 1. You can't manufacture that. I don't want my guy sitting from December 26th all the way to January 14th or 15th. But if they were going to play Tony Romo, it should have been the last game. Coming up this week, you cannot play or live your life as if something bad is going to happen. So if he sits out for 3 full weeks, now I don't think you should play the entire game this week, but play enough where you get that game action, your body responds to it, because you can't manufacture game action, game speed. And then you put Mark Sanchez in, because then it doesn't matter, and then Dak has his normal rest of 2 weeks. And you just got to roll the dice that Tony Romo will be ready if called upon come the playoffs.
Okay, let's hone in our disagreement here, because I don't disagree Dak should play this week. He should play about a half. This isn't a debate between Dak and Tony Romo anymore. Dak won that debate, trust me. I had it more than once at this table. Dak won that debate. He won it clearly. He made somebody like me wrong in the end who wanted to see Tony Romo playing.
Did you
that
admit
debate
that
is
you're
over.
actually wrong?
I do that, Prim, from time to time.
Snap.
I will do that from time to time.
And I almost felt like we all should have frozen for a second. But you're
Dak did
saying
a good job of proving me wrong on the Dak versus Tony debate. Dak should play next week as well, because I agree with you. I don't want him resting for 2 or 3 weeks. That would effectively be 3 weeks and two game weekends without playing. With you 100%. But Dak should get in the game next week, play a half. The debate then begins between Mark Sanchez and Tony Romo. The Cowboys are making a decision to get Mark Sanchez ready for the playoffs, not Tony Romo. Now, maybe the Cowboys have so much of a belief in Tony Romo that he doesn't need game action until it's actually in front of him. He doesn't need to warm up. I have a hard time believing that. I don't think Mark Sanchez in any scenario is the right choice over Tony Romo.
The team clearly is making a calculated decision that Tony Romo, and it's been clear, and I think you could agree as a Cowboys fan, has become somewhat fragile. Yes, I use the F word. So if you're going to put him in for the second half of a game where you could argue some of those all-pro offensive linemen are probably going to be pulled out too, maybe 1 or 2 of them, now you're risking an injury to your backup who you are going to need. If Mark Sanchez goes in
That's a good point.
and he doesn't get hurt, guess what you've lost? A guy that's not going to be on the roster in the playoffs anyway.
But to your Bill Belichick point, there's not 75 guys on the roster. So in the second half of this meaningless game against Philadelphia, the only offensive lineman we can count on not playing is Tyron Smith, who's going to be out for the entire game. The rest of that line is not going to be able to be made up of complete backups.
I'm not putting it on the line. I'm just putting on the fact that if he's in the game and you're risking a guy who's coming back from a back injury, is it 100%? Is he all the way back? Call Tiger Woods.
And that's how Jerry Jones feels.
And I'm saying Tony Romo will be
injured.
playing behind a team with all-pro offensive linemen in front of it. It may not include Tyron Smith.
Okay.
It will include Travis Frederick.
Let's say that
probably
happens.
Zach Martin.
Let's say that
and
happens.
He needs to get ready.
Let's say that happens. It doesn't mean Derek Carr, Marcus Mariota, that he's not going to get hit. He has become fragile. I want Tony Romo ready to go into the game come January 14th or 15th, whatever that game is. And by not playing him, 100% he will be ready to go in. Rusty? Maybe. But at least he's physically able to play.
Rusty, 100%. There's no way that you can't play a full year and not be a little rusty.
Oh, true.
You know?